Welcome to the Fleet Geeks podcast. We're here to help develop fleet and transport professionals. Do you want to progress and develop your skills and knowledge? We promise to bring lively conversation and debate around interesting issues and keep you bang up to date with changes in our awesome industry. The Fleet Geeks are a community of professionals, and if you enjoy the podcast, why not join the discussion for free in the Fleet Geek community over on Facebook. Hello and welcome to the Fleet Geeks podcast. I'm excited to join you today and talk to you about how long am I allowed to operate without a transport manager? It's a really common question that I get asked all the time, and this is what a period of grace is called. And there are certain time limits to a period of grace that people need to know about. So this is that part of the legislation that basically dictates that you have to have a transport manager if you have a standard international operator license, because you have to have a transport manager and have that competent person within your business. Now, if your transport manager leaves, naturally it's going to take some time to replace them, because many transport managers will be on a 3-month notice period. So therefore, if you have someone leave, you need a couple of months to find somebody potentially, and then you need to wait for them to start. And then you might actually start someone and actually they're not competent. So it's a really tricky period of time when your transport manager does decide to leave or hand their notice in or get sacked or whatever it may be. So it can be a really tricky time, but that's why we have something called a period of grace. So in almost all cases, a maximum period that can be granted legally is capped at 3 months. 6 months, sorry. Put my teeth in. Capped at 6 months. It only increases to a period of 9 months in the case of incapacity of a transport manager. A traffic commissioner is unlikely to grant the maximum period at the outset, as there is then no contingency to extend the period of grace further. So depending on the individual circumstances, a TC will grant the period they consider appropriate, which will normally allow opportunity for an operator to update a TC and apply for an extension if required. Therefore, typically, a TC may grant an initial 3-month period. That's why I need to get my teeth back in, which can then be extended up to a maximum of 6 months if necessary. It may be shorter if the operator has yet to submit paperwork. It remains the operator's responsibility to apply for an extension before the initial period concludes, and failure to do so may result in revocation if the operator has failed to demonstrate that the requirement is met before the period of grace expires. Okay, so in English, what that means, so a maximum of six months, but you start off with a 3-month period, and then before that 3-month period, if you're not going to meet it, you need to make sure that you've extended or applied to extend it for a further 3 months, up to a maximum of 6 months.
Hi, I'm Shani from Flagship Partners. We're proud to sponsor the Fleet Geeks podcast, your go-to source for all things fleet management. If you're looking for expert advice or high-quality training for your fleet business, make Flagship Partners your first choice. We're also thrilled to announce the launch of our Fleet Academy, designed to support and develop future fleet leaders through expert-led and career-focused training. Our offering includes fully accredited courses such as the Transport Manager CPC training, CPC refresher courses, OLAT training, plus ongoing mentoring, support and professional development beyond the qualification. Our vision is simple: to develop elite fleet professionals who drive excellence across the industry. Let's shape the future of our fleet management together.
Between 3 and 6 months is a period of grace, which you're allowed to find a transport manager. 3 months may be a bit tight, which is why you can increase it to 6 months. So at the end of a period of grace, once the maximum period has been granted, a TC cannot extend it any further under any circumstances. In cases where a period of grace expires due to the date passing without either the requirement being met or an application to extend the period further, a TC is required to revoke an operator's license. Evidence that the requirement is met or an application to extend submitted at the last minute will not be enough to save the O license. Operators should ensure there's enough time for the TC to consider any application, And additionally, because it is accepted at the outset of granting a period of grace that a mandatory license requirement is no longer met, there is no right to request a public inquiry after the time limit has expired. It's therefore important that operators understand the risks to the license when requesting a period of grace and actively manage dates to make sure they satisfy the TC. They're now compliant before the time limit expires, otherwise they risk the loss of their O license. So what this part means in English is that at the outset of applying for a period of grace, we're accepting that the mandatory license requirement is no longer being met. Okay. That's what we're having to declare when we request a period of grace. So therefore, we've got no right to a PI or request a PI if the period of grace expires. It's really clear. They make it really, really clear that we shouldn't be leaving any extensions or requests to the very last minute. We should be making sure that we're managing those dates appropriately because there is a risk of loss of our O license. So the risks are high. The period of grace is there to be used, but we do need to make sure we manage those time periods. I'm really interested to hear if anyone has had any horror stories from missing a period of grace or missing a deadline on a period of grace. But ultimately, you ask for a period of grace when a transport manager leaves, do it through the VOL system, 3 months initially. Prior to that 3 months, we need to be letting the TC know if we're not going to be meeting the 3-month period, and we can then get extended to 6 months maximum. Okay. On occasion, it may, in very, very rare circumstances, when there's death or when there's incapacity of a transport manager, may it get increased to 9 months potentially. But we need to manage and communicate effectively with the TC to ensure that a revocation of O license doesn't happen, because just by having a period of grace means that we've confirmed that we no longer meet the mandatory requirements of the O license. I hope that that's been interesting for you today. I hope it's been useful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. See you later. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please share with your friends and colleagues too. Join us for free on Facebook with the Fleet Geeks community for transport and fleet managers. Fleet Geeks offers ongoing professional development, networking and mentoring too. So get in touch with me, Pete Rushmer, on any social media platform to find out more.